By the end of this video, you're going to know how to build self-trust and real self-confidence without having to spend years and years in traditional talk therapy. Let's dive in. Hey friends, Tamie M, Joyce here, empowerment life coach, creator of the Freedom class and the Ascension class. And if you're new to my channel, welcome. Please take a second to say hello and introduce yourself in the comments section below. And if you're back, of course, welcome back. Thanks for showing up and for tuning in. Either way, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss a new video. So let's talk about how to build self-trust and real self-confidence without having to spend years and years in traditional talk therapy to get there. Now, to begin with, don't get me wrong, I have nothing against traditional talk therapy. In fact, I've spent a good amount of time in therapy myself. Working with the right therapist can be a huge help when it comes to sorting through our history as well as our present. That said, when it comes to building self-trust and real self-confidence, the 50-minute hour once a week isn't necessarily going to be the thing to get you where you want to be. And it can feel like the slow road to China, as compared to actually experiencing real and lasting positive change in a relatively short period of time. And sometimes all it takes to experience that lasting positive change is a shift in mindset and some strategies and techniques that actually work. Now that said, what exactly is self-trust and why does it matter? Well, in my view, self-trust means having the ability to both believe in and depend on your own good judgment. It's knowing that you can rely on yourself to both back yourself and protect yourself. In other words, take excellent care of yourself. You know you can count on your personal sense of dignity, integrity, and self-respect to guide you. You know you can bank on your abilities, your strength, and your courage. You can quite literally trust your own internal guidance system and your God-given powers of discernment. And that, my friends, is the foundation to a beautiful, empowered life lived in emotional peace and freedom. So let's dive into 10 powerful tips for building self-trust and real self-confidence. Number one, tell yourself the truth. Always, no matter how hard, painful, awkward, uncomfortable, or inconvenient, unpopular even. If you want to grow your ability to trust yourself, it's going to require that you should be willing to stand still long enough to face the truth of whatever the circumstances are that you're dealing with. Lying to ourselves and others by choosing denial and childish magical thinking as a means of avoiding what's difficult, awkward, uncomfortable, or painful is exactly how we undermine our own sense of self-trust, self-worth, and self-confidence. So for any of the following to work, you must be standing on the firm foundation of truth in your life. Number two, tell yourself that you're enough. In fact, you are more than enough. And it's time now to start believing it. Mirror work can be very powerful in this regard. Looking yourself in the eyes and affirming repeatedly who and what it is you want to become and embody. And you want to do this daily. Now watch what happens as you become stronger and your internal reality begins to shift for the better. Stick with it for a period of time and you'll begin to naturally become, as well as attract, what it is you're affirming for yourself. And don't worry about feeling silly. Words have power, especially those that we say on repeat while making eye contact with ourselves in the mirror. And if you're struggling in the area of self-trust and self-confidence, doing this exercise for even 10 minutes a day can be enough to boost your self-worth to the place where you feel more self-trusting and confident in a relatively short period of time. Number three, work with your feelings, not against them. Meaning, stop judging yourself for what you feel. Although feelings are not necessarily facts, if you feel it, it's true for you, period. Now, one way that we undermine our own sense of self-trust and confidence is by constantly judging and criticizing ourselves, not least of which for how we're feeling. So lighten up and give yourself a break already, and accept whatever it is that you feel in the moment without judgment. Then figure out what it is that you need to do for yourself. What is the feeling trying to tell you or teach you? Figure that out and be willing to give yourself what you need. This is how we develop self-trust. By treating ourselves in a way that says, I have my own back and I choose to love myself enough to be there for myself, no matter how I feel. And on that note, number 4, spend quality time with yourself. I recently heard a term, date your soul, daily. And I thought, genius. What can you do daily that would feel like taking your soul on a date? Now for me, that can be a walk on the beach or in a park, going for a swim, meditation, contemplation, or journaling even. Reading a great book that lights me up. Treating myself to some deep self-care or some really great food. So what is it for you? When you don't trust yourself, you might feel uncomfortable spending time on your own looking inward. You might try to keep busy all day long by constantly getting involved in activities or thinking about small things outside of yourself. Break the habit of looking away from yourself by gently and lovingly looking inward. Try sitting with yourself in a quiet, serene place for even 5 to 15 minutes a day. Pay close attention to your breath and how you feel in your body. If any negative thoughts or self-criticism comes up, acknowledge it and then let it go. Just because you think a thought does not make it true. Allowing time for this important one-on-one with yourself will absolutely build your sense of self-trust and self-confidence. You can't expect to trust yourself if you don't nurture the relationship you have with yourself. Again, date your soul. Genius. Number 5, be decisive. Making a decision and moving forward. What's the worst thing that can happen? Train yourself to know, I'll either win or I'll learn. Either way, I'd benefit. We lack trust in ourselves when we question our actions and our decisions. So build trust in yourself by breaking the habit of questioning your decisions. The next time you make a choice, stick with it. Just decide, I always make the right decision, and go from there. Even if it turns out not to be the best choice, you'll likely learn something from the experience. So again, you benefit. There's absolutely no benefit that comes from beating up on yourself over a decision you've made. The best you can do is to learn from your mistake. Believe that you'll make a better choice next time and then move on. Doing so will help you learn to be more trusting of yourself moving forward. And if you need help with any of these suggestions, you're likely an excellent candidate for one of my coaching programs. There's a link in the description below this video where you can apply to see if you qualify for a free one-on-one consultation with either myself or a member of my team. Number 6, develop your abilities. The reality is sometimes we suffer from a lack of self-trust because we are in fact lacking skill in some area. Make the decision that you can trust yourself. It really is a decision. And then back yourself by being willing to put in whatever work is necessary to develop whatever quality or skill you feel you need to develop. Now again, this is how we develop self-trust and real self-confidence. Making the decision and back yourself by following through. Number 7, avoid people who feel entitled to put you down. That's right. Stay away from people who chip away at your self-worth and self-esteem, no matter who they are. People who feel entitled to target you, who feel entitled to treat you with unprovoked and unwarranted contempt and disdain, need to, at the very least, be kept at a distance. Don't kid yourself. Your willingness to perpetually expose yourself to people of this nature absolutely erodes your sense of self-trust as well as your sense of self-worth. It's pretty hard to have genuine self-confidence when you're surrounded by people who need to put you down in order to feel okay about themselves. And never mind how strong you think you are. Even the strongest of us are affected by others' toxicity. You wouldn't hang out in a gas chamber and expect to not be affected by the noxious fumes. So why do you do that to yourself where harmful people are concerned? Want to trust yourself more? Want to be more genuinely and authentically self-confident? Then give toxic, destructive people a wide berth and watch what happens in your life. Number 8, be willing to befriend your self-doubt. That's right. Your insecurities don't have to be your enemy. You might think confident people never feel insecure, but that's actually not true. We all have insecurities that we grapple with, and we all go through periods of self-doubt. The goal is to learn from and grow beyond them. Now, this doesn't mean that we ignore our insecurities. This isn't about bypassing. The truth is they might be warning you of areas that you need to work on, things you need to heal. But neither should you put your insecurities in the driver's seat of your life, as they're not necessarily telling you the truth. In fact, more often than not, they're nothing more than lies from the devil or your mother, whichever. Either way, not true. Number 9, celebrate small wins and victories. Learning how to trust yourself fully comes from celebrating the little victories daily as well as the big ones when they happen. And here's why. You are far more likely to have small victories, and you are far more likely to have them more frequently than the big ones. And waiting until you achieve something massive to feel good about yourself is a surefire way to not only sabotage yourself, but also create a lot of unnecessary anxiety and pressure. By celebrating small wins, you actively support yourself while developing your ability to see all the positive aspects of your life, your work, and yourself. As time goes on, the hundreds of little sparks created by acknowledging your successes highlight all the great things you have in your life and all that you've actually achieved. So give yourself some credit where and whenever you can, and be willing to celebrate any progress or success you make in any area. Be your own cheerleader. And last but certainly not least, number 10, embrace imperfection and be willing to make mistakes. People who trust themselves don't do so because they've never made a mistake. They do so because they know that no matter what happens, they will get through it. Now, a great way to nurture that feeling is to try new things and be willing to be bad before you're good, and then good before you're great. Most people don't accomplish much in life because their egos won't allow them to be bad before they're good, and then good before they're great. And there really is no other way to become great at anything. So cut yourself some slack and be willing to go through the paces necessary while simultaneously deciding that you will not be hard on yourself in the process. Instead, give yourself a big gold star for effort and courage and keep going if it's something you really want or love. And again, lighten up. Don't take yourself and everything so seriously. Accept where you're at and be willing to grow and develop from there. Have you ever seen someone make a silly mistake and then laugh about it? That person has acceptance. They might be a little embarrassed, but clearly it's not the end of the world for them. Now, accountability is another piece to this, by the way. Those who take accountability are also good at accepting their own imperfections. These are the people who are quick to apologize if they cross a line or say something thoughtlessly. They take responsibility for their mistakes and they own their side of the street. Now, needless to say, this isn't always easy or comfortable to do, as false pride can make it difficult to admit that we were wrong or that we somehow screwed up or dropped the ball. We're human, right? If we let our ego get in the way, we're in trouble. And, you guessed it, we undermine our own sense of self-trust and genuine self-confidence. But if we can get good at mustering a little humility and taking full responsibility for ourselves and our missteps, we can release a lot of fear about making mistakes because we know that we can trust ourselves to do what's right if and when we do screw up. This doesn't mean we're reckless with our words and actions, but rather that we're confident in our intention to do well and able to own up to it if and when we fall short. And let's face it, self-doubt can be tricky. Some days we may feel overwhelmed, and other times we forget the doubt was ever even there. Now, the important thing is to believe that you can solve issues as they arise. One way or another, you're going to figure it out. You've got what it takes. Or at the very least, go looking for solutions, then implement whatever you find that seems to make sense. When self-doubt surfaces, look at it as an opportunity to know yourself better and heal a part of your past. Having empathy and compassion, as well as forgiveness for yourself and others, can produce a ton of emotional peace and freedom. When we face our self-doubt with intent to grow our self-trust and confidence, not only do we achieve that end, but we also learn to forgive and heal ourselves in some pretty beautiful and miraculous ways. And on that note, I'm going to call it a wrap. But before I go, you should know that the Ascension class is open for enrollment. Now, this is for you if you're ready and able to invest in yourself, you're ready to shift your identity, master the law of attraction, heal your relationship with money, and put a full stop end to the limiting beliefs and self-sabotaging behaviors that are holding you back and preventing you from living your best life. If you're ready to reinvent yourself from the inside out, create your dream life by design, and finally become the you were always meant to be, then click on the link in the description below this video and apply to see if you qualify for a free one-on-one consultation with either myself or a member of my team. Much love. Bye for now.